Thank you.
You don't have to thank me.
Yes, I do. The Joker won.
The Dark Knight Trilogy, one of the most respected trilogies of all time, praised for everything you'd want in a film: character, music, cinematography, all of it. Now, as you may know, the character of Batman has gone through many incarnations, from West to Keaton to Conroy, all the way to the infamous Bat Nipples. But by the time the first installment in the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, was starting to get made, the Batman character wasn't doing so hot due to Batman and Robin in 1997, which was criticized as one of the worst films of all time. It took 6 years after Batman and Robin came out for Warner Brothers to finally trust someone to bring back life to the Batman character. Now, during those 6 years, people such as Darren Aronofsky, Frank Miller, and many other creators pitched their ideas for The Dark Knight. But none of their ideas felt quite right for Warner Brothers. Then that all changed when someone by the name of Christopher Nolan, who had just recently done some smaller films such as Memento and Insomnia, Nolan wanted a more realistic take on his Batman origin story, as he told Warner Brothers, "The world of Batman is that of grounded reality." He was so committed to this idea that Nolan didn't want to use a second unit director, who was responsible for shooting footage that would take too long or is too expensive for the director to shoot. Therefore, Nolan wanted to make sure that every moment of this film had that same realistic idea that he had from the very beginning. That same year in 2003, Christian Bale, who you may know, he's won an Oscar, he's been acknowledged for his incredible rants on set.
Oh, good for you! And how was it?
Anyways, Christian Bale in September of 2003 was casted to play the Batman. Christopher Nolan commented on the casting saying, "What I see in Christian is the ultimate embodiment of Bruce Wayne. He has exactly the balance of darkness and light that we were looking for." Not only that, but in 2017, Michael Caine said in an interview that Christian Bale is the best Batman. Liam Neeson, Cillian Murphy, Gary Oldman, Michael Caine, Katie Holmes, Tom Wilkinson, and Morgan Freeman would then round out the supporting cast. Production for the film started on March 3rd, 2004, all the way to September 17th, 2004. The movie released in the summer of 2005, however, and did well both with the audience and as well as financially. However, Nolan didn't plan on making a sequel, even though at the end of Batman Begins, the clown Prince of Crime, also known as the Joker, was referenced to be the next big bad. But a few months after the release of Batman Begins, Nolan had an idea of how to portray the Joker in the follow-up film, which led to Nolan eventually signing on to do the sequel. But the big question was, who in the world is going to play this iconic character? Who has the acting capability to pull off such a rigorous role? Well, all it took was a laugh to answer those very questions. When Heath Ledger was casted as the Joker, there was extreme backlash from the film community. Not only that, but Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan's co-writer, also brother, Jonathan Nolan, didn't know what the director was going for with the character of the Joker.
It's gone.
Even Jack Nicholson himself, who was 71 at the time, said he was furious that no one had asked him to play the Joker once again. However, Ledger was set on to bring something special to this role, as he locked himself away in a hotel room and read different Batman comic books that were relevant to the style that the film was going for. He also practiced different voices and laughs for the Joker. After Ledger landed on the perfect voice for the Joker, Heath said in an interview with Empire magazine in 2007 that he landed in the realm of a psychopath, someone with very little to no conscience towards his acts. He's just an absolute sociopath, a cold-blooded mass-murdering clown.
You wanna know how I got these scars? My father was a drinker and a fiend. And one night, he goes off crazier than usual. Mommy gets the kitchen knife to defend herself. He doesn't like that. Not one bit.
10 years after the release of the film, Jonathan Nolan was on a Hollywood Reporter roundtable and said the following, that the casting wasn't giving the fans what they're asking, but what they want. The sequel also had different writers. Obviously, Jonathan Nolan co-wrote the script with his brother instead of David S. Goyer, who wrote the first installment with Christopher Nolan. Not only that, but Katie Holmes did not reprise her role of Rachel Dawes, which led to Maggie Gyllenhaal being casted for the role. Gyllenhaal even asked permission from Katie Holmes to take the part. But while The Dark Knight is recognized as one of the best comic book films of all time, it's also viewed as having the best and the most inventive marketing campaign to ever be seen. For example, Warner Brothers created a fake campaign website called Harvey Dent for District Attorney. People would play a little game on there, and if they beat it, they would then see the first look of the Joker. The rest of the marketing campaign leading up to the film's release was very interactive for the fans, which soon paid off as it was the first Batman film to ever cross $1 billion. It was praised by both the audience and the critics. Heath Ledger was also applauded for his performance and even won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. However, Heath Ledger wasn't able to accept the award due to his death 7 months prior to the film's release.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding.
Now for the final chapter in the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan wanted a villain that was physically capable to put up a fight against the Caped Crusader, which led Nolan to choose none other than Tom Hardy to play the man who broke the bat, also known as Bane.
Then I will break you.
Nolan had already worked with Tom Hardy once before on the 2010 film Inception. However, there was some worry about the character's voice, the fear that we wouldn't be able to understand Bane in the film. Christopher Nolan also felt that it was a must to bring back the League of Shadows from the first installment, Batman Begins, to tie things up, which also led to the casting of Marion Cotillard as Miranda Tate, who was pregnant at the time of filming, which caused some issues as far as scheduling. Nolan also casted Anne Hathaway to play Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman. The film was shot in Los Angeles, Oakland, New York City, India, Pittsburgh, and England. The shooting process took about 120 days and went on to being the highest grossing Batman film ever made, and it did quite well with the audience. These films are beloved by filmgoers and evolved the comic book genre to a whole different level. The Dark Knight trilogy also showed that superhero movies can not only be great superhero movies, but purely just great films. As Christopher Nolan once said, breaking rules isn't interesting. It's making up new ones that keeps things exciting.